Alex was originally supposed to marry Nora. They were nominally siblings, but Alex was adopted by Nora's parents. Nora's mother had not been able to conceive, but just 2 years after adopting Alex, she unexpectedly gave birth to twins, Aaron and Nora. Nora's parents considered Alex a blessing to the family, especially since Aaron had been frail since childhood. The elderly couple valued the reliable and honest Alex even more. Over time, seeing Alex's affection for Nora, they intentionally tried to match them, hoping that Alex and Nora could carry the family's responsibilities together and create a harmonious union. Growing up together, Alex and Nora had a strong bond. With their parents' support, Alex didn't feel the need to rush into revealing his feelings for Nora. In 1945, Alex hurriedly drove a carriage to deliver grain to the county grain store. When he was about to return, a group of local forces swept through the area. Despite being on their last legs, they engaged in looting, arson, and all kinds of atrocities. The owner of the grain store, an old friend of Alex's father, insisted on keeping Alex behind due to the unsafe conditions on the road. He asked Alex to wait until the situation calmed down. Alex stayed in the county for a few days, but as soon as the coast was clear, he rushed back. He was worried about his parents and, more so, about Nora. Little did he know that during his absence, Nora had done something extraordinary. She had hidden a wounded man in their cellar and used household linen to bandage his wounds. 3 days later, the man, none other than Jason, a well-known member of the local guerrilla forces, came to express his gratitude. Nora's parents were overwhelmed and refused any reward. Learning that Nora was still unmarried, Jason insisted on introducing her to his nephew, praising her courage and resourcefulness. He said, "The girl is smart and brave, a perfect match for my nephew. Please don't blame me for being presumptuous, elder brother and sister-in-law." Nora's parents couldn't refuse him, so they agreed. When Alex heard the whole story from Nora's father, a fire burned in his chest. He resented his parents for blindly agreeing to marry Nora to someone else. Determined to talk to Nora and make his feelings clear, he wanted her to call off the engagement. If Nora disagreed, not even the heavens-playing matchmaker would change his mind. He rushed to the west courtyard, and as Nora came out to greet him, calling him a brother with a smiling face, Alex felt like a bucket of cold water had been poured over him. He stared at her, the words he had prepared stuck in his throat. Alex silently returned to his room, slowly digesting the situation. His father mumbled something about not wanting to embarrass Jason, but Alex knew deep down that Nora had probably made up her mind not to marry him. He had always known Nora had a strong personality, but she would rather bet her future on someone she had never met, like Parker, than marry him, someone she knew inside out. She didn't want to spend a lifetime with him, and the realization weighed heavily on Alex's chest. Alex remained gloomy for a while but couldn't avoid his responsibilities. He had to tend to the fields and deliver grain, though he avoided going to the west courtyard. Nora's wedding was scheduled for the autumn. A few days before the ceremony, she hurriedly made a pair of shoes for Alex and personally brought them to the east courtyard. Fluttering her grape-like dark eyes, she said, "Brother, I'm leaving. Please take care of Mom and Dad." Alex quickly interjected, "We're family. Why say such things?" He took the shoes, tried them on, and grinned, "Hey, not bad at all. These shoes fit perfectly." Nora smiled back, exchanged a few more pleasantries, and then left. As soon as Nora left, Alex took off the new shoes, neatly placed them on the Kong, and stared at them for a while. It took him a long sigh before he could exhale. He had been resolute in his thoughts behind her back several times, but when faced with Nora, he couldn't bring himself to act cold or indifferent. He decided not to be too hard on himself. Nora came to apologize, and her intention couldn't have been clearer. However, no matter what, he couldn't let her say those words. As long as that secret remained, he could continue to care for her and protect her in the guise of a protective older brother. After delivering the grain to the city, Alex brought back a mountain-shaped mirror for Nora. Despite having some family property, a mountain-shaped mirror was considered a luxury. The mirror was a gift from Aaron, who returned saying, "Wow, my sister's eyes nearly popped out when she saw that mirror. Big brother, you really outdid yourself." Alex chuckled, masking the inner bitterness. This was the best he could do, and he felt fortunate to be able to do something for her. Despite the challenging times, both families were well off, and the wedding festivities were carried out in a dignified manner. Accompanied by the wedding procession, Alex personally escorted Nora to Parker's home. Glancing at Parker beside her, he sighed with relief but also felt a twinge of bitterness, akin to an unripe apricot. Initially, he hoped Parker would be an undesirable match, preventing Nora from liking him. Yet, as Nora did marry, he feared Parker might indeed be undesirable. Fortunately, that wasn't the case. On the second day of the Lunar New Year, Nora brought Parker to her maternal home for the holiday. Parker, with glasses perched on his nose, wrapped in a scarf, and often holding a book, would point to lines for Nora to read, making her burst into laughter. Alex was left in awe, feeling that in the presence of Nora and her husband, his sturdy but awkward physique was magnified infinitely. He had always thought of Nora and himself as two pearls on the same string. However, now he understood that Nora was different, and they were meant to glide into their respective destinies. With this realization, a sense of acceptance settled in his heart. Nora's parents, aware of their indebtedness to Alex, arranged for a matchmaker the following spring to propose a marriage for him. However, Alex showed no interest, even Aaron's children were calling him uncle, and he remained solitary. In a few short years, with the change of circumstances, Nora's family land was divided, the wealth dissipated, and Nora's parents, both in poor health, passed away. When Nora returned, she wept for the loss. Wanting to offer comfort, Alex considered reaching out, but seeing his worn hands and tattered cotton jacket, he withdrew. After taking care of her parents' affairs, Nora wanted to cook a meal for Alex. Opening the jar, she found only the bottom of the stick noodles. Tears welled up again as she said, "Brother, you've fulfilled your duty to our parents. We have nothing left at home. It's time for you to plan for yourself." Tightly wrapped in his tattered jacket, Alex stared at Nora and nodded, his nose tingling. Fortunately, Nora hadn't married him, and fortunately, she didn't have to endure hardship with him. When Parker came to pick up Nora, Alex, for the first time, gave him a smile, urging him to take good care of Nora. Parker promised, but he couldn't keep his word. During Nora's third pregnancy, a trend emerged as urban men working there divorced their rural wives and remarried. Parker, influenced by this, also contemplated such a move. Upon hearing the news, Alex borrowed a donkey from several households, cleaned it thoroughly, and changed into clean clothes. He went to Parker's home. Nora, upon seeing Alex, didn't shed a tear. She pleaded with him to take her to the city to find Parker. Witnessing Nora's determined expression, Alex couldn't bring himself to insist on taking her back home. With gritted teeth, he helped Nora onto the donkey. On the bumpy journey, Nora's water broke just as they reached Parker's workplace. Ignoring the security guards, Alex jumped into the yard and shouted, "Parker, if you've got guts, come out now." Facing a difficult labor, Alex grabbed Parker by the collar like a mother hen carrying a chick and gritted his teeth, "If anything happens to Nora, our family won't spare you. Just wait and see." As he spoke, Alex's face turned ashen, and his eyes emitted a fierce determination. Parker paled with fear. Fortunately, Nora successfully gave birth to their third child, and the divorce matter was dropped. Life in Nora's household continued to decline, and shortly after Nora completed her postpartum recovery, Aaron passed away. His frail health, compounded by years of poor nutrition, led to his demise. It wasn't until Nora finished her postpartum period that Alex dared to inform her of Aaron's passing. Nora let out an "Aya," and sat on the ground in silence for a while before tears welled up. In these challenging times, everyone was struggling to make ends meet. With Parker and Nora's children coming one after another, and the additional responsibility of looking after Aaron's few children, the situation became increasingly difficult. 6 months later, Alex visited Nora. After a series of cigarette puffs, he hesitated before speaking. "Aaron's wife is managing to get by with 4 children. Since I'm on my own, we might as well live together, help each other out. If you say it, it won't sound as undignified." Nora was momentarily stunned. Alex rubbed his worn hands and continued, "Anyway, no one else is interested in me. Let's settle it like this." Nora remained silent for a while. Her family already owed Alex enough. Logically, she shouldn't burden him further. However, if Alex truly left, her family would be truly finished. Taking charge of the situation, Nora addressed Aaron's 4 downcast children. "Listen to Uncle's words from now on. Grow up and be filial to Uncle. If anyone can't do that, I'll break their legs." When Nora left, Alex accompanied her to the village entrance. Nora lowered her head and said, "Brother, my family has burdened you." Alex shook his head. "Let's not talk about that. Without your family, I might have been eaten by dogs long ago. Nora didn't continue, but she understood. The kindness her family owed Alex had been repaid over the years. What her family owed him might never be fully repaid in this lifetime. Nora's family was once a wealthy household in the surrounding area for dozens of miles, but they couldn't escape the upheavals of various movements. Even Nora and Parker were affected, but thankfully, those nightmarish days had passed. Just when they all breathed a sigh of relief, an unexpected disaster took away Nora's only daughter. Overwhelmed by grief, Parker fell seriously ill and joined their daughter 3 years later. The messy aftermath fell into Nora's hands, and it was Alex, with Aaron's 3 sons and a daughter, who helped Nora build houses and arranged marriages for the children. In truth, those years were tough for Alex as well. Besides farming, he had no other skills, and his large family meant every penny he saved was hard-earned. As the children got married, they finally found some respite. Every April during the temple fair, Alex would personally drive a cart to bring Nora home for a couple of months. Nora's grandchildren marveled at their uncle's patience. While their grandmother was pampered like a young lady, taking hours for her grooming, Alex waited patiently. The grandchildren often tried to hurry him, but he didn't mind. Over the years, life had weathered Nora into a rough and spirited woman, no different from other elderly ladies in the neighborhood. However, in front of him, she remained the proud young lady. Alex was willing to wait, no matter how long it took. Moreover, each time Alex visited, he adorned the carriage with brand new thick cushions. The places he touched were wrapped in crimson velvet. Having endured hardships for most of her life, Nora's family now had the means, and Alex wanted to treat his sister-in-law with the utmost care. Unable to stay idle, Nora, during her month-long stay at her parents' home, worked with her sister-in-law to refurbish the entire family's bedding and winter clothes. Alex's cotton trousers were made by Nora. He had suffered a leg injury during some movement, and the thin trousers caused discomfort in winter, while the thick ones hindered his movement. Nora always managed to strike the perfect balance. When Nora turned 71, her sister-in-law passed away. 3 years later, Aaron's daughter proposed bringing Nora back to live with Alex. She consulted Alex first, and he shook his head, saying, "No, no." Thinking he might be embarrassed, the daughter quickly assured him that she had discussed it with her younger siblings, and he shouldn't worry. Alex burst into laughter, his face full of wrinkles. How could the children understand his sentiments? His sense of duty toward Nora had weathered decades of storms. As long as she was well and they were keeping each other company, everything was fine. Despite the changing times and people around him, Alex still faithfully came every year to bring Nora back to her parents' home. The children bought a car, asking him not to travel on his own, but he insisted, dressing more formally each time than a diplomat meeting foreign dignitaries. One winter, Nora's beloved youngest son passed away, and Alex insisted on going. His children and grandchildren tried to dissuade him, but he became agitated, so they had no choice but to take him. The moment Nora saw Alex, she, who had been unresponsive, cried out. The whole family breathed a sigh of relief. Alex gently rubbed Nora's withered hand, grateful that he was still there for her during her most difficult times. However, Nora felt weakened. In the Lunar New Year, when the children went to wish Alex well, she insisted on going too. Her grandchildren teased her, "Hey, Uncle is coming to pick you up in April. Can't wait, huh?" Nora scolded them, "You bunch of little rascals." But in the end, she went. The village had built a new temple, and Alex suggested taking Nora to see it. The children were worried and wanted to accompany them, but Alex, pointing his cane at them, said, "You play your cards, we won't join the small fry." The two of them lit incense and made wishes, surrounded by curious young people wondering what wishes such elderly grandparents would make, perhaps for a long and healthy life. Looking at the young people around them, Nora smiled, and when she glanced at Alex, he smiled too. Alex quietly asked Nora, "What did you wish for?" Nora shook her head and said, "Can't say. If I say it, it won't come true." Nora always thought she would be the first to go, but surprisingly, Alex passed away ahead of her. He didn't live to see the end of the Lunar New Year, succumbing to heart failure without much suffering. Throughout every aspect of the funeral, Nora followed steadily. When it was time to take Alex to the cemetery, all the children knelt down, begging Nora not to go, emphasizing the importance of taking care of her health. Nora agreed, but she still followed at her own pace. Despite the children urging her to get into the car, she refused. In the end, All the relatives and friends got out of the cars, accompanying Nora step by step as they sent off Alex. Everyone witnessing the scene was deeply moved. In the chilly spring and with the setting sun, Nora measured each step on the path leading to Alex's grave, scattering a handful of soil onto his coffin. As each shovel of yellow soil slowly covered Alex, Nora seemed to see him pretending to be delighted while trying on the shoes she made for him, tenderly accompanying her with a big belly to find Parker in the city, and cheerfully bringing her back to her parents' home time and time again. The proudest achievement in Alex's life was perhaps accompanying Nora throughout her entire life, a genuine and complete lifetime. Their life was not about romance, but it was undeniably a true and enduring companionship. Nora knew that even if life were to start anew, Alex wouldn't change his mind. Therefore, she made a wish in front of the Bodhisattva, hoping that in the next life, Alex would not be entangled with Nora's family, not be involved with Nora, and have no more connections. Only then could he live for himself once more and fall in love with a girl who truly liked him.